Hello YouTubers and preppers, I'm Evita, Cooks and Preps, coming to you with a Prepper Pantry meal. This time we'll be making a simple but hearty dinner using these ingredients that as preppers you're likely to have in your pantry. And today I'll be sharing with you my quick and easy Keystone Beef stew. For the recipe, we'll be using one family size can of Keystone Beef. And this one's one of my favorites. I just want to say, especially because I know that their beef is canned using just two simple ingredients. Premium beef and sea salt, that's all. And there is absolutely no water added. To me, that's a really good deal. In case you've never tried their beef, I encourage you to try it. It is a very good product. The beef, the chicken, and all the other canned meats that they offer are excellent. And I assure you, it is definitely worth the try. Okay, so since I'm making a stew, we also need some vegetables. And for this particular stew, I'm going to be using some Yukon Gold potatoes that I will be peeling and cutting into cubes. Also some diced carrots. This is about a cup of diced carrots. And also we're going to be needing some seasonings to season the beef. And this time I'm using my all-purpose seasoning. This is actually my own blend, which is a combination of sea salt, garlic, onion, oregano, cumin, and more delicious herbs. You can use the all-purpose seasoning of your choice. I'll be adding a conservative amount of beef broth. I actually like the taste and the flavor of this one, but like I said, you don't want to be using too much of the beef broth base, because remember that I'm using a canned beef that has already been cooked in sea salt. When it comes to the salt in this recipe or any recipe, you always want to add it gradually because you can add more as needed. However, you can never remove the excess amount of salt that you add. So be very careful when it comes to adding salt or any type of broths that come in the powder form, because it's kind of hard to gauge just how salty they are until they've had time to blend with the rest of the ingredients. So it's always a good idea to leave a little bit of it out until the end, taste it, and then you can adjust the salt. And for added flavor, color, and body, I'm using tomato paste. And my dear preppers, I want to invite you to check out Walmart.com and compare the prices of their 12-ounce cans of tomato paste and stock up. It is the best deal available by far, I assure you. So check it out. For more flavor, color, and to add a little bit more personality to the stew, I'm going to be using a combination of red and green bell pepper. If you don't have it available, you can use the dehydrated green bell peppers. They work wonders. I've made it using the dehydrated peppers. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Remember, we're all preppers and we're always trying to figure out ways to use our preps, and this is definitely one of the ways that you can do that. But since I have the fresh bell peppers, I'm going to be adding them to the stew. The next ingredient is completely optional. As you know, in my house we like to add a little bit of spice and flair to our meals, and I'll be using half of a red jalapeno that I picked up from the garden this morning. My jalapenos this year have been a little bit milder and sweeter than previous years, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a half of the jalapeno, and like I said, is entirely optional. We're also going to need water. You can use a beef broth if you have it available, but just keep in mind that I'm using the broth base powder, which is already salty. Again, I want to warn you about adding too much salt, because there is salt in the canned beef and we don't want to over salt it. Now, one more thing that I just wanted to mention is that with this recipe, like most base recipes or basic recipes, you can experiment adding the vegetables of your choice. And if you want to make a Caribbean style stew, you can add some sweet potato, green bananas, plantain. You could also add some cassava, yuca, and just about any root vegetable that is firm enough that when you cook it, it holds its shape. And believe me guys, if you add all those vegetables to this stew using the Keystone Beef, you're gonna end up with an amazing, very flavorful, nutritious, and delicious beef stew. You really should try it at home, and like I said, just add the vegetables of your choice. Whatever you have in the garden or in the pantry works perfectly for this recipe. And of course, if you have fresh herbs like me, I went to the garden this morning and picked up this beautiful bouquet. Check it out. Isn't it lovely? I wish you could smell this. Oh my goodness, if you've been here with me for a while, you recognize this herb, and this is one of my two favorite herbs. los dos primitos, or the two cousins, and this happens to be the cilantro. The other herb that I like to use quite a bit is the culantro. And again, I encourage you to experiment with the herbs of your choice. Now, before moving on, I just want to say for the record that I am not sponsored by Keystone. I'm just simply sharing with you my experience with their products. But if they want to sponsor me, that would be fantastic. Now, for those of you who have never tried their meats or seen what their meats look like, here's what the canned beef looks like. Like I said, it is fully cooked, no water added, no preservatives, it's all natural, and it's only cooked in some sea salt. Also, if you take a very close look, you can see that it's mostly meat, not a lot of fat, maybe just a little bit, but of course, you know, beef does have some form of fat, so that is perfectly normal. But check it out. It's actually very interesting to see the quality of the beef just by looking at it. To be honest with you, you can eat this beef right out of the can, and I am telling you, you're going to be pleasantly surprised of how good it tastes. But today we're going to be turning this canned beef into a fabulous beef stew. And I'm using a 4-quart Dutch oven right here. I'm going to be pouring the liquid from the canned beef. Anytime I cooked with canned processed products, I never use the liquids. However, for the Keystone meats, I always make the exception. Mostly because I trust the quality of their product. And it is a very clean and clear broth, as you can see. I'm going to try and get as much as I can of that into the pot. Since the meat is already cooked, I don't want to add it until the end. So once we've drained most of the liquid from the beef, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding the rest of the ingredients, and this recipe cooks very quickly, I guarantee you. And guys, in this recipe, I'm only going to be using the little bit of fat that's already in the can with the beef. But this, like I said, we'll be adding later on. And I have the heat on medium-high because I want to bring this broth to a boil along with some water. To the pots, I added the diced potatoes. I have 1 pound of the Yukon gold potatoes, and to that I'm also going to add the diced carrots. I'm also adding the broth base and the all-pro seasoning, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. Okay, the potatoes and the carrots have come to a boil, and I'm going to add the tomato paste. This is going to help give it some color, a little bit of flavor, and also a little bit of body. And this is just about all the condiments and seasonings we're adding to the stew at this time. At this point, we're going to let the potatoes and carrots cook until they're tender. Let me grab the cover. And I've already reduced the heat to medium-low, and I'm going to continue cooking the potatoes until they're fork tender. Okay, so when the potatoes are fork tender, they're still a little bit firm, but that's fine because we have to add the beef. I'm adding the whole can. These are also available in the 14.5 ounces, but this is actually the perfect size for a family of 4, even 6 actually. So, look at that, doesn't it look beautiful? All that lovely meat. Don't worry, we're gonna add a little bit of water to the bottom of this can and extract all those lovely flavors. We're also going to add the red bell peppers and the green bell peppers. A couple pieces. Alright. And as an optional ingredient, we're adding the red jalapenos, which I mentioned that happened to be a little bit milder this year. So if you don't want to add the jalapenos, that's fine. However, in my house, we like it a little spicy. I'm adding a little bit more of that broth just to rinse out the can. gonna allow this to come to a boil. When it comes to a boil, I'm gonna taste it, adjust the seasoning if it's necessary. I'm not really sure that we'll have to. If you need to adjust it, you can always add a little bit of adobo, a little bit of salt. You can even add some freshly ground black pepper. Okay, we've been simmering the beef with the potatoes for about 3 minutes. And at this point, the beef is ready, the potatoes are perfectly cooked, and you can serve it. However, depending on how you like your stew, you may want to leave it a little bit longer to evaporate some of the water. But since I'm going to be serving this stew with some white rice, I want it to be a little bit brothy. I'm going to finish it with the fresh herbs. Ready. Let's give it a quick taste. I'm pretty confident we don't need to add any more salt, but let's give it a taste anyway. Oh my goodness. Delicious. The sky's the limit with these delicious Keystone canned meats, especially the canned beef, which happens to be my favorite. Okay, you guys, for more quick and easy, simple prepper pantry meals like this one, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and comment for the YouTube algorithms. And don't forget to activate the notification bell to be notified when I upload more simple and delicious recipes like this one. And until next time, I'm Evita, Cooks and Preps. Bon appetit. You really have to try it.